The quarterfinals are done. Mal O'Brien makes it 2 for 2. The Queen returns, and who's in trouble on the bubble? We recap the individual quarterfinals next. Hi everybody, welcome inside the Talking Elite Fitness Studios. Sean Woodland and Tommy Marquez taking a look back at the individual women's competition for quarterfinals. And I think after the Open, you look at the leaderboard and you don't really know what to think, but after quarterfinals, I think this definitely at least solidifies some of the things we thought heading into the season.
Yeah, as far as major storylines go, kind of looking at what the end result was, I think some of the top contenders were solidified. Maybe some of the athletes on the rise that we were hoping to see take a big step forward in year two kind of did so in quarterfinals. And then realistically, for some of the new elements that got thrown in the mix and some things that we saw programming-wise, I didn't think they were really that big of surprises as far as what showed up on the leaderboard.
Let's take a look at the unofficial leaders for each region after the 5 tests, and it's Mal O'Brien, who is your top athlete in North America East, and she's your top-ranked athlete in the entire world. More on that in a second. Gabby McGowan takes Europe right now. How about Ariel Lowen out in North America West, finishing first there? Jamie Simmons in Oceania, no surprise there, and it's Victoria Campos in South America. But Mal O'Brien follows her Open win with her first ever worldwide win in quarterfinals.
I think with these online competitions, it's hard to know if you're going hard enough. Because I think some of these workouts the past weekend, like the row, for example, is like, I wasn't like, that workout wasn't like a row super fast. It was just kind of like pace it, because like the reps between is what really mattered. And so it's just like you're on, or you finish it and you're like, I have no idea how anyone else paced that, how they did that. And it's just like, but I did my best. So I hope it was like good enough in a few hours when the leaderboard comes out type thing. And in-person competitions, it's like, well, we can race to the finish if you want. Like, it's that type of thing. It's like, who wants it the most? And you just don't have that in online comps, and that's what I love.
Mal O'Brien wins the Open. She has now followed that up with a first place finish worldwide in the quarterfinals. And if I know Matt Fraser in HWPO, Mal is not even at her peak yet. Like, this is trouble for the rest of the women's field.
It's putting the rest of the women's field on notice for sure, but it really comes down to how does this point to the overall goal of winning the games? And you look at, okay, she's not peaking, she's doing the tests once, she has a good environment at HWPO, throwing down alongside top tier women's talent, which is going to be simulated to the games. So if you take that step further and filter out the results on the leaderboard from quarterfinals and the women that realistically stand a chance to compete with her at the games, Mal's average finish across all 5 tests, just looking at games caliber talent in front of her, is 8th. It's actually a spot better than she did at the games when she finished 2nd at 9th last year. That's without peaking, that's with all the prep that still lies in front of her. So when you're looking at the women that she has a chance to line up to at the games, she's starting to improve even in that capacity under these circumstances. I think it's just another bit for us to kind of chew on as fans and get excited about once we get to semifinals, seeing her as the lead woman.
Well, Mal O'Brien won one of the tests this last weekend. Of course, there were some other very strong performances, and for a look at those, here's Lauren Khalil.
Thanks, Sean. Here are the unofficial winners from events 1 through 5 for the women's field. Event 1 goes to Mal O'Brien, finishing in a blistering 5 minutes and 44 seconds. For Mal O'Brien, who took the overall win, took an event win, you'd think that these were the moments that she was most proud of, but it was actually event 3. That was her lowest finish overall, but she says this is the workout that she's been able to see that her workout and her workouts in the gym, all of that training has been paying off.
I retested the clean and jerk one because I went for it, and like I missed a rep in the last round, and I was just like really frustrating for me. So I redid it. Wasn't worth it, but that's how I learn. So I'm glad I redid it, because I think I would be like stressed out, like what if I didn't miss or all this stuff. But looking at that workout, even last year, like that would have been like, if I can stay top 100, that's a good thing. And like I was top 30. You know, that's like really exciting to look at, and just like kind of a moment that we can track in our progress and stuff. And it's just kind of like over the next few years, like we're still gonna, like we're always hammering my strengths and all that stuff. So it's just kind of like, strength takes a long time. So it's just really exciting to see that much progress that fast.
Ellie Turner taking 2 wins over the weekend, and the same event wins that boyfriend and training partner Justin Medeiros took. This shows that not only are they both efficient at learning new movements on the fly, but also partners that train together also win together.
Like Justin said, like the separating that workout was like how composed and like consistent you could stay on the rope. And we practiced them the day before, and we were super competitive with each other of who could do the most like unbroken sets. And I actually beat him the day before, so I was like pretty confident heading in. And each round I was slightly behind because his freaking overhead walking lunges are like, world class, obviously. So he would gain a little bit of ground on that, and then I would inch back the lead with the crossovers. So I like, yes, obviously I can move a dumbbell fairly well, but I think being able to stay super consistent with my crossovers actually was the like winning force in that workout for me.
Looking now at Olivia Kerstetter, an athlete that is still eligible to compete in the teen division. She's proving that she can hang with these big elite athletes, as she won an event tying with Ellie Turner, and then also had another event where she had a top 5 finish. Now, although she can compete in the teen division for the age group online qualifiers, which she does plan to do, she tells us that the main goal is to compete with the elites in the individual division at the CrossFit Games.
Oh yeah, I was so excited for day 2. Like day 1, it was fun. Like the crossovers were something new and like exciting to learn how to do that, obviously. But I was just super excited for the second 2 workouts. And yeah, workout 3, the heavy barbell, I knew that was going to be a good one for me, and it was fun. And I also love rowing in GHDs, so those were 2 good workouts back to back. So obviously the goal is elite, and I have 2 months to work on all the weaknesses that we found this weekend and in the past and everything we know about. But so the goal is elite, but we always want to like go to the games in the end. And so if no matter which way, I want to make sure that I'm going to the games. And so I would say the age group is just a backup to make sure that if I don't qualify, then I still get to go to the games and get better for another year before next year when I can't go age group anymore.
Impressive finishes for these women, as I also took on quarterfinals, finishing 1,150th place in North America East. I'll see you guys at semifinals on the competition floor, but on the other side of the barricades in the media pit. Back to you, Sean.
Thank you, Lauren. And we cannot forget about Laura Horvath, because she is also someone who could contend for that top spot on the women's podium at the CrossFit Games, and the only woman to win 2 tests this past weekend unofficially.
Yeah, and kind of picking up where she left off at the Games last year, and really this has been Laura's MO when she has a successful run at the Games, is being able to balance out her performance as a whole with these home runs, with these event wins. You look at the back-to-back last year at the Games on the final day that allowed her to overtake Danielle Brandon. You look even as far back as her rookie season when she had multiple event wins, whether it was chasing down Katrin Davidsdottir on the assault bike or winning with Rescue Randy towards the finish line. So this is a big part of what makes her successful at the Games, and seeing her do that again under these circumstances is a good sign moving forward.
Well, Annie Thorisdottir is making her return to individual competition for the first time since 2021. She finished 7th unofficially in Europe. She is going for her 12th individual CrossFit Games appearance, and she finished the quarterfinals weekend strong. She had 3 straight results of 12th or better.
Didn't start off great. It's been very interesting events as well. I quite enjoyed it. All of these workouts were had something like a little sneaky in them, I feel. But yeah, day 1 definitely didn't go perfectly. Day 2, super fun. That was a really fun day. And then today, I was wearing my grips for the deadlifts. That's never not been allowed to have your gymnastics grips just on, as long as you're not using them as straps or something. And I didn't even think about it. And then literally as soon as I finished the workout, they're like, it says that you're not allowed to wear grips. So after going almost to failure on my rope climbs, I decided to go home, take a couple of hours, hour and a half. We ended up doing the workout like quite late, so didn't have a long time as a break. Just played a little bit with Freya, went back to the gym, and submitted like 15 minutes till deadline.
We all know what Annie Thorisdottir has accomplished at the CrossFit Games, and you look at what she did the last time she was there as an individual, finishing on the podium, and it's very clear that she is not ready just to hand the keys over to the youngsters.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a broken record here, really just focusing on the athletes that are doing stuff that's more in line with their successes of the past, and that's the same for Annie. You know, Annie at her best at the games gets stronger as the weekend goes along. It's like Thor on Asgard. The longer you're there, the more she powers up. You go back to 2021 when she podiumed. 4 straight finishes of 4th or better to close that weekend. 2017, back-to-back second place finishes to close that weekend and shut the door on a charge from Sara Sigmundsdottir. Even go back to 2014 when she went first, second, first on the final day to jump up and nab a podium spot that year and move up to second and apply some pressure on Camille. So the fact that we saw Annie start to find her footing a little bit on the back half of this competition is another good sign that, hey, we can expect a good version of her once we get to semifinals.
There are some notable names who are on the outside looking in as far as semifinals are concerned, and a couple of them are Masters athletes. Stacy Tovar might actually be able to get in with some help. Steph Chung is in the same boat there. Doesn't look like Becca Voigt-Miller will be competing at semifinals as an individual, but still, where she is right now on the leaderboard for North America West, impressive given the career she's had and that she is a Masters athlete along with Stacy Tovar. So congratulations to Becca Voigt-Miller. When you look back on these past 3 days and the 5 tests that we saw, what are your top takeaways from the women's side of things in quarterfinals?
Well, there's a few, and they kind of range from broad, big picture at the games to some individual athletes as well. The first one is quarterfinals carryover. You look at last year, there was a huge carryover in performance from the individual quarterfinals on the women, and that carrying over to the games. You had 12 of the top 15 women in quarterfinals repeating that feat once we got to Madison. 21 of the top 25 women also went on to qualify and repeat that feat at Madison as well. The 4 that didn't: Emma Tall, who was sick, Sara Sigmundsdottir, who missed out by 1 spot, Olivia Kerstetter, who won the team division, and Lena Richter, who finished second as a team. So basically, if you finished in the top 25 in the quarterfinals last year, we saw you in Madison. So that's a good sign for people like Fisa Gaffi, Oyana Moya, Kelly Baker, and Claudia Gluck, who are looking to break through once again, for at least in Fi's example. The second one is fuel for fire. There's 3 athletes side by side on the leaderboard that had less than stellar finishes to their season last year. Annika Greer and Manon Angoniz didn't submit their scores in time and ultimately had their season ended. And then Emma Tall was sick last year and wasn't able to follow through with semifinals and then hopefully for the games. They're right there in the top 10, so they clearly used last year's result as fire for performance here. And then last but not least, not last but not least, the East women showed out huge. 8 of the top 15 women worldwide in quarterfinals, 33 of the top 100. That's basically a third of the top 100, and that goes into the strength of schedule. So the East women, it was a premier region we were coming into it, at least from what we thought, and they showed that based on their performance in quarterfinals.
Yeah, that semifinal in Orlando is going to be a blast to watch on the women's side. Remember, tickets are on sale now. With the quarterfinals in the rear-view mirror, let's take a look ahead at some of the important dates now on the CrossFit Games schedule. The video review for the quarterfinals is scheduled to be completed on March 27th, and then individual invites go out a day later. The deadline to accept or decline that invite is April 10th. Then we move on to the semifinals, weekend number 1 getting going on May 18th, and then we conclude weekend number 3, May 31st through June 4th, and then of course the CrossFit Games in Madison, Wisconsin, August 3rd through the 6th. Congratulations to all the athletes who threw down in quarterfinals. Whether you made it to the semifinals or not, good on you for throwing your hat in the ring and participating in that part of the season. One athlete that we thought would be going to semifinals in Oceania is Cara Saunders. Of course, she has some personal things going on that have required her to not compete this year. And our Oceania correspondent, Jeremy Austin, sat down with her, and you can listen to that interview wherever you find your podcast. Search for Talking Elite Fitness. It's a great interview. I suggest you check it out. We are not done with quarterfinals. We will have a team preview coming up in a couple of weeks, and be sure to check out our recap of the men's side of things from this past weekend. Thanks so much for joining us, everybody. For Tommy Marquez and Lauren Khalil, I'm Sean Woodland, and we'll talk to you next time.